Hello, everybody. I've decided to start recording presentation of the appendix slides each week because I think there's generally some good stuff in there that's probably interesting. So let me go ahead and share my screen. This is for week 12 about counting points. First thing is, it's really important to know how high to bid. And the reason for that is that there are bonuses for bidding and making game. Game is 3 no trump, or 4 of a major, or 5 of a minor. So for example, if you bid 1 no trump and take 9 tricks, you get 150 points. If you bid 2 no trump and take 9 tricks, you get 150 points. But if you bid 3 no trump and take 9 tricks, that's a game contract, you get 400 or 600 if you're vulnerable. 1 no and 2 no are giving you the exact same score. So you bid game if you think you can make it, but otherwise you want to stop as low as you can. If you're going to stop in 3 spades, it'd be better if you could stop in 2, because if you take 8 tricks in 2 spades, you get 110, and if you take 8 tricks in 3 spades, you go down. So, there also are even bigger bonuses for bidding and making slams. We won't talk about those. And the reason for today's presentation is we count points to help us decide how high to bid. Here's the 10% to remember from the presentation. The goals of bidding are to answer 2 questions. What suit do we want to play in, and how high do we want to be? And point count helps us know whether we should stop or invite or force our way to game. Opener counts high card points and length points. If you're thinking about opening the bidding, you can count 4 for an ace, 3 for a king, 2 for a queen, 1 for a jack. And as we talked about in the main presentation, length takes tricks in your trump suit or even in a side suit. So if you have a 5-card suit, add 1 point. If you have a 6-card suit, add 2 points. And so on. This same guideline applies if, say, partner opens a heart and you don't have a fit for hearts, you can still count your high card points and length points as you try to evaluate your hand to get to a good contract. Dummy to be. If you have support for partner's suit, you're going to become dummy. And high cards take tricks, but in dummy, shortness also creates tricks if declare can trump in your hand. So if you have a doubleton, you can add 1 point. If you have a singleton, you can add 3 points. And if you have a void, you can add more. I've heard the guideline that if you have a void, add as many points as you have trumps. So tough question that always comes up. If I have support from my partner and I have length in my hand, can I count my shortness, which I count because I'm supporting partner and they can rough in my hand, and also count my length? And the short answer is maybe, and ask somebody smarter than me and you'll figure it out. Let me give you 2 examples. If partner opens 1 spade, I'm going to count 7 high card points and 1 for shortness. In hearts, I'm not going to count length in clubs because the clubs are probably worthless to partner. On the other hand, give me a better hand. 12 high card points. I'm going to count 2 for the shortness in clubs. Look at that beautiful heart suit, and I have 4 spades. So after we call trump, we're likely to be able to take some tricks in hearts. So I would add length points for that heart suit because they're probably worth a lot. But it's judgment and it's context based, and sometimes you add, sometimes you don't. So what does point count tell us? There are guidelines. They are not guarantees. The guidelines are, remember, there's a game bonus that we care a lot about. If you're going to bid 3 no trump to make a game in no trump, you and your partner typically need 25 or 26 high card points. It's not a guarantee. Sometimes you have 29 and you can't make a game. Sometimes you have 22 and you can. But these are good guidelines. Game in a major, 4 spades or 4 hearts, requires typically 25 or 26 points. And here you can count not just high card points, but your distribution. So that means opener is counting length points and partner, dummy to be, if dummy has any shortness, can add points for the shortness because declarer will be able to rough in your hand and take tricks. Game in a minor usually requires about 29 points. This is the biggest reason that if we have a decent minor suit, we're always trying to play in no trump because we can score more points by taking fewer tricks. And we need generally a little less oomph to do it because we're only trying to take 9 tricks. Guidelines, small slam, bidding and making 6. You need about 33 high card points in no trump or total points in a suit. And grand slam is usually around 37. Sometimes you can make game or slam with less, and sometimes you have this much and can't make it. There's no guarantees. They're just guidelines. Point count, as we'll discuss much more in the coming weeks, is the reason for many bidding rules. So if partner opens one no trump, we'll talk about this next week. That means they've got 15 to 17 high card points. If you have 10, you need to drive to game. You need to make sure you get to game. And if partner opens one of a suit, you should respond if you have 6 or more points. In the first case, your side has 25 to 27 or more if you have more, and that's enough to try to get to game. And partner will open 2 clubs with 22 points, but when partner opens one of a suit, they have a hugely wide range from like 12 to 21 points. So if you have 6, you need to respond because you might make game. And there's another bidding guideline, which is with 12 or more points, high card points plus length, you should open. Back in the day when my mom taught me, this was 13 points. And the idea is if you and partner both pass, you could miss a 26-point game. Now the rule of thumb is 12 plus. And it's partly just because bidding has gotten a lot more aggressive and you want to get into the auction before the opponents do because it's easier for you to get to the right contract that way. I want to talk just a little bit about feel. Some hands are minimal, some hands are pretty good, and some hands are really big. So let's take a look at these 3 hands as opener or potential opener. Let's look at the first one. I count 11 high card points. I'm always looking for combinations. Ace, king, queen, jack is 10, and the jack is 11. I always count at least twice. I have 1 length point in hearts. This is a 12-point hand. The second hand, ace, king, queen, jack is 10, and 6 is 16. 1 for length in hearts, that's a 17-point hand. And the bottom one, again, I tend to look at combinations. Ace, king, queen, jack is 10. I see another ace, king, queen is 9, is 19. I will always count twice. Ace, king, king, that's 10. 13, 15, 19, 19 high, and 1 for length. That's a gorgeous hand. So with this first hand, you can open the bidding, but you have to bid minimally after that. So if you open a heart and partner bids a spade, you just quietly raise to 2 spades, telling partner you have a fit and a minimal hand. This is a very nice hand, this second one. If partner has anything decent, we might make game. So if we bid a heart, partner raises to 2 hearts, that's showing 6 to 10. We've got about 17. I would bid 3 hearts to invite game. And on the last one, if partner can say anything, I'm going to end up pushing us all the way to game because I've got 20 points. I like to think of this as just kind of feeling the hand. Minimal opening hands are about 12 to 15. Good opening hands are around 16 to 18, and big ones are 19 plus. I hate the memorization, but if you remember like 12 to 15 and 19 plus, then what's left is in the middle. Let's change to be looking at responder. So suppose opener has bid, your partner has bid one of a suit. How do you feel about these hands as responder? Well, if you've got 6 to 10 points, you got to say something because opener could have a huge hand, but unless partner has a really good hand, you're not going anywhere. So you want to bid really minimally. Let's look at a better hand, 11 or 12. This is what I think of as an invitational hand as responder. If partner has just a little bit more than a minimum opener, we'll bid game. So I'm going to invite when I have an opportunity. I'll probably end up jumping in a suit. And finally, if I've got 13 plus and partner opened, I know we're getting to game. I know we can make game or should be able to make game. I have to make sure that I either jump to game or make forcing bids that partner can't pass because I'm the one who knows that we want to get to game. Partner is not. Again, kind of, feel the force. Try to remember 6 to 10 is minimal. And if you've got opening strength yourself, you should be excited. So let's look at a grid of possibilities. Sometimes we want to stop. Sometimes we think maybe we have game, and sometimes we know we have game. So these are kind of the same categories I gave before. Opener either is minimal or invitational or big, and responder could be minimal or invitational or big. If responder's got a really bad hand, we want to stop. And if opener is minimal and responder is minimal, we want to stop. And so in the bidding conversation, you need to make sure you get to that. In these other situations at the other end, if opener has a big hand and responder can say anything, you want to end up in game. And if opener opens and responder has 13 plus, responder knows you have to get the game. So what's left is these other two buckets. Here, we want to be in game if opener is at the top of her range. And here we want to be in game if responder's at the top of the range. Now, this grid is not a very good way to think about this. But the idea is opener has to force to game if opener has a really big hand. Responder has to force to game if responder has 13 plus. And those two cells that have some red, these cells, it's easy to get to game because both of them have pretty good hands. Here, responder has to do the inviting because opener is going to bid minimally. And here, opener is going to do the inviting because opener's got a pretty good hand. So let's look really quick. Usually one person knows the answer first and has to guide the team. So let's look at 3 examples of mistakes in bidding. I don't like the word mistakes, but these are clearly mistakes. 1 club by opener. What does responder know? 13 high card points, have to get to game. Responder begins by bidding a spade, just describing her hand. Opener rebids 1 no trump, saying, I've got a balanced hand. I couldn't open 1 no trump, so I've got about 12 to 14 high card points. What's going to happen if responder bids 2 no trump? Opener might pass. Responder knows you need to get the game. So responder has to bid 3 no trump, not 2 no trump. Here's another example. Responder has, I count, 10, 13 high, 1 spade, 1 heart. As soon as opener bids a heart, responder knows we have to get to game. Opener bids a spade. Responder bids a spade. Opener raises to 2 spades. That's saying they have a relatively minimal hand, but they've got 4 spades, so we have a fit. And now responder knows the answer to the 2 questions. We want to play in spades and we want to play at game. So responder has to bid 4 spades because if responder bids 3 spades, opener could pass. We see this happen all the time. And finally, opener bids a heart. What's wrong with this two heart bid? Well, we'll talk about this in a couple of weeks, but I count 11 high card points and one for shortness. I've got 12 support points over here. Two heart says 6 to 10. This hand is too strong for two hearts, and it must invite um, by bidding three hearts. I'll stop sharing. Hope you enjoyed.